this is the third and final lesson on Bereshit for this year. And we've examined some Kabbalistic views of Bereshit. We've kind of went into a little bit a better depth to understand what was going on, and that it wasn't just a physical thing, but it was very much a spiritual thing and a physical thing at the same time. We realized in our study that before creation, before he created the heavens and the earth, and before all of the nature itself blossoming forward, before Adam and Eve came to this world, the world of creation existed. It existed with God before time. With God, there is no time. He is divine energy and light. So this idea that we've learned in the Torah is that when it says that that God separated the light from the darkness, and this was before there were planets. So we understand that he brought about a separation. Why was there separation? It was to have distinction. Hashem was getting ready to set up this model of creation that is so incredibly complex that when we read the book of Genesis, I think that we all agree that you read that text and you go, this is like reading an enigma, some kind of coded message. There's more to this than what meets the eye. Yes, we can learn the basic elements of this, but there's so much depth. And then to find out from mystical studies in Judaism that the universe not only was created, but continues to be created. The world continues to form itself and grow itself and live and die and plant itself and germinate itself and grow again, live and die. There's this constant creation. But now we're finding out in science, who in the last 10 years have begun to describe that we are living in a universe that has a primordial energy. Now, they called it the Big Bang, right? But this primordial energy exists outside of time and space. They recognize that. Now, they're not going to call it God, right? But they're going to call this energy that has no beginning and no end. This is how they describe it. And they say that this energy has no beginning and end, took and created in this space of the universe where planets are made. There is time and space is actually developed by the creation of the planets, where we might have 24 hours. Jupiter might have one day be 5 days or 10 days or 20 days. We don't know. But the whole point is every planet and solar system every planet within the solar system is on its own time and space and physicality. What we see through a telescope, through our scientific instruments, is only a fragment. A fragment. Think about this. A fragment is what we see of the full universe. And you would go, well, that's true. You look for the night sky and it's black and it's empty. There's nothing up there. Au contraire, it's not empty. There are spectrums of things that have been created. As we know, we remember everything that was created on earth has its root in Shemaim, in heaven, and everything in Shemaim has its end on earth, which means how you want to know and you want to study about Shemaim in the heavenlies and the spiritual realm, then you can see its counterpart in physicality. So we've learned, wow, we can find its counterpart in physicality. That's why nature is so important for a student that loves the Torah. Go out and get in nature, ground yourself, take your shoes off and walk in the sand, enjoy creation itself. And it has a way of recharging you. So I would like to wrap up this class by talking about the root of creation being the Torah itself. Now, when we say the Torah, we're not necessarily talking about the scroll that's in your local synagogue. We're talking about a Torah that existed before time and before existence is as we know it, with the master of the universe. This is the Holy Torah. and the world was created in accordance with it. You go, well, how is that? I don't read a blueprint. I mean, how is it a blueprint? Well, it says he looked into the Torah and created the universe. So therefore, all things found in creation are at their proper core and rooted in accordance with the categories of the Holy Torah. Now, when we hear that from the mystics, we have to understand that within the Torah are these roots. You may not see it. You may not understand it. I may not see it. However, we have the keys. We actually have the Torah itself. And so the more we study, the more we begin to expand our consciousness and understanding, the more that we begin to understand the code that's in the Torah, and also how it's going to transform us personally and those of us in the world around us. Now, by knowing the spiritual nature of the source of our involved worlds and the physical creation, one can be a partner with God. So in some aspects, we become a partner in God's work of creation. God created many different spiritual concepts and forces and entities, it's created to direct the universe. It's created for the purpose of bringing all of this creation and keeping it in order. Someone asked me the other day if I believed in angels. And of course, my response was yes, but I'm curious why you would ask that. This is coming from a Jewish guy. And he says, well, I don't know. I mean, I talk to people that are of other religions from the past, and, they have this whole angel, what do you call it? Angels study, worship, I don't know, angelology or whatever. And I said, no, I don't, angels aren't to be approached that way. They are actually servants of Hashem that helps shore up his creation as it's known. And we understand that these entities were created for that very purpose. Now, the spiritual concepts that consist of such opposites as good and evil, justice and mercy, as well as basic concepts of giving and receiving, which are the spiritual roots of masculinity and femininity. So we're seeing, here are some key code concepts that whenever you go back and read these things, you're going to understand that's what it's rooted to. As a matter of fact, Elohim and the sacred name of Hashem also corresponds to what? The masculinity and femininity of the creator of the universe. Now, mind you, he's neither masculine nor feminine. He has no body, no core. He is just pure energy and light. Now, there are also countless angels and spiritual potentials, all interacting to bring about the process through which the universe is directed and guided. Now, we know these things, but seldom do we ever experience or ever see them because the creator of the universe has veiled them, has kept them behind the veil. The Bible, in its beginning, teaches us concerning the spiritual source of all things. Here is a text, Genesis 1:29. It says, I have given you every herb and every tree. And at the end, it says for meat. Well, there's a problem with this translation. Obviously, fruit is not meat, or the herb is not meat. So in no way the word here, meat, in the original Hebrew is the word acha, which means food. It's actually saying, every tree and fruit of the vine is for your food. For this, we see if you study the book as is important in the Bible, you should study it in its original language. This is why Hebrew language is so important. And for us to at least learn the alphabet and learn to know how to look up a word. And as we're talking about Sifri, that's a great resource to be able to do that. Chaim Nachman of Bialik said, reading the Bible, I love this, in another translation is like kissing your new bride through a veil. It's like, can accomplish something, but it's not like the original. One needs the ability to understand the original author's words rather than through a translator's opinion of an author's text. It's why our studies are so important to find out what did the original writers and orators mean. The Hebrew is called the Holy Tongue. Rambam explains that Hebrew lacks words, for example, for genitalia and for reproductive act, or for urine, or for excrement. There's no words for it. When the Hebrew needs to describe these, it borrows terms with other meanings or employs allusions. Now, this is a linguistic limitation that's made to sanctify the language. There's no coarse, or what's the word for coarse or base language in Hebrew. It's pure language. This language limitation makes it a sanctified language. Hebrew is the original language of Torah, the language in which God communicates with his prophets and his people, and the language that God used to create the world. Now, it is said that the Hebrew language came directly from God. It contains secrets that were preserved by the initiated. They contain the precise plan of the principles of creation. Each letter of the Aleph Bet is authority, or is a crystallization of the aspects of manifestation of the divine word. Each letter is thus connected to the creative forces in the universe. The 22 letters in the Aleph Bet are the building blocks of creation. Just like DNA, the Aleph Bet is the building blocks of creation. It is also shown and proven that the Hebrew letters can be found within every human's DNA. The 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet were the building blocks. The 10 utterances or sentences, such as "let there be light," immediately there was light. And the Bible describes each of the 10 utterances and the things that were created as a result. What is the interesting thing? Things that were created as a result. What is these utterances were not said once and erased, but stand for all time, forming the objects they created. So the objects that you see outside, when you go see the evening sunset, when you see the moon, you're going to realize that those words, when they are spoken, they brought permanence into the world. The world is formed out of a combination of these letters. They were made to bring about the world, and every letter of the Hebrew alphabet has meaning. We understand the gematria, since every Hebrew letter has a number, words have totals, and these numbers have special significance. Two words may be linked to their significance and meanings, not just because of etymology or the fact that they are related to their souls, but also because they are related in their numerical value. So almost at every level, everything is so fine-tuned and integrated, you cannot read the text in its original language and come up with a conclusion that's something else, because every letter confirms a word, and every word confirms a sentence, and every sentence confirms the full body of the text. It's brilliant. It says that the Hebrew Bible is arranged similarly to a hologram. The Torah has recorded within it a vast world of information. It's embedded within and waiting to be later reconstructed, somewhat like being unfolded, or like a zip file would be the best way to describe it. The first letter contains the whole. The last or the first words explained from the first letter, and the first sentence from the first word, etc. It is very much like that. Our scientists do. We include information that messages are sent to outer space. That explains how to decode the entire message. That's also how compression programs work on computers. You can take and compress a file and send it without too much lag in data. As a matter of fact, now modern communications in the military, they can, when they key a microphone and they speak it, it compresses it and puts it in a digital format. And it is, even if somebody could hear the actual transmission, it would sound like a, right? It's just an electronic buzz because it's coded. And inside that is this whole phrase that can be spoken. So the Torah is very much like that. The Torah, to perceive requires information, retrieval and process information and processing. As all this concealment, within it most only look up on the surface. The ancient Hebrew alphabet is far more than a tool for everyday communication or transmission of sacred text. The letters form themselves into intrinsic geometric and mathematical properties that point us to a profound knowledge of life and nature. Now, in no way have I ever thought that I was at a place that I could even understand these concepts. They're far beyond me. But slowly but surely, people much smarter than I and scientists who understands quantum mechanics and sacred geometry all recognize that this is all speaking of one language. One day, science will understand the code in Hebrew alphabet when Mashiach comes, hopefully before. Now, the Hebrew alphabet in manifestation of God's speech, they are the energetic and vibrational building blocks of creation. It's called in the Aramaic, Mimra, means the action. It was when he spoke, it wasn't a vocal cords resonating, but it was the concept that came out of those words. It created creation itself. Now, they are analogous to physical elements, just as, for example, an atom of oxygen gas unites with two atoms of hydrogen gas to form a molecule of water, so does one letter combined with another to create a new entities. Hebrew words and letters are the constituent spiritual element of all existence. Hebrew is like a periodic table of elements. When they're combined, they create. The written Torah, it has in it only the crowns and letters, if you remember. It has none of the vowels within it. Thus, the word Torah, Bible, have many possible meanings. This does not mean that there is not a known simple meaning, which Moses was taught by God at Sinai, but it lets us know there are other aspects of other secret meanings inside the word. The letters are 288 sparks of the vessels that shattered. In creating the world, God joined letters and sparks together by shattering the vessels, sparks falling below. Now, we as we begin to read, we understand that this, that in creation, when let there be light took place, that this is the shattering of the vessel. These are the sparks that were sent throughout the universe. And by this, the vessels are well, we also understand that the shattered spectrum of light that is within the world will be gathered again by Hashem. Let me give you this. It is taught in the Gemara. Everyone is taught the Torah in the womb. And it is forgotten at birth. We forget the Torah at birth by an angel striking us in the mouth. This is why we have the indenture here. And this is why if someone learns the Torah, it will seem very near to them. Every one of you have expressed to me at one time or another, the first time that you heard the words of Torah being taught, you go, I don't know what this says. I'm not truly understanding, but there's something right about this because you're recognizing the Torah that is deep within us. If there's a prayer that we all should be praying during this time of our life, is Hashem to give us the wisdom and the ability to understand the mysteries of his Torah. Because we can't go wrong by that. By speaking the Torah, using the same mouth that was made to forget the Torah, this brings back the Torah into our life. This helps us to be co-creators in creation. What kind of world do you want to live in? What kind of world do you want your children and grandchildren to live in? The kind of world that I want to live in, God willing, I'll see it before I go. The kind of world I live in is a world full of peace and love for humanity and God. A world full of peaceful relationships in which the Torah is the mainstay of all ethical and moral behavior. That's the kind of world I want to live in. But see, according to the Rebbe, we should be acting as if Mashiach is here now. Quit wishing him to be here. Live as if he is here now. Why we study the Torah, why we conduct our lives in the way we do, and the manner in which we conduct our lives, it is because God created the heavens and the earth. And we are now some 5,000 years after Adam fell, and we're kicked out of the garden, almost 6,000 years, and we are about to see redemption come. And it could come anytime now. And they say within at least, 250 years or something? We're close. So let's start helping Hashem by studying more Torah, by living more mitzvahs. That concludes my devar. And so we'll go ahead and go into Q&A or comments, wherever you guys want to go.